Murray, one thing that always struck me is when circumstances got very difficult, a driver was killed, for example, you always said the right thing. You got the tone right. And I'm thinking specifically of Ímola 94, when we lost Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna. Just your memories of that weekend and how difficult it was to say the right thing.
Very difficult indeed, Tom. There again, because I had been doing it as long as I had been doing it, and because I was doing Formula 2 as well, and Formula 3 and Formula 4 and all the other things, I used to catch these drivers right at the beginning of their careers. And I did with Ayrton Senna in 1982 when he was winning everything in Formula Ford. So I was been aware of his career, and very much so, and interviewed him umpteen times. And I'm going to be slightly long-winded. Does that matter from the point of view?
We have plenty. The microphone's yours.
In the winter of 1993, I had got out some tapes I have done of the iconic year 1983 in Formula 3, when Senna and Martin Brundle were battling for the title. Senna won it, but Martin won a lot of the races and only just failed to win it himself. And I realised at that time I had been talking about Ayrton Senna. And I had become sloppy, like a lot of people, and was now calling him Ayrton Senna. So I resolved in 1994 that I would use his correct pronunciation of his Christian name. So in the first race of the year, which was Aida in Japan, if I remember correctly.
That was the second. No, first race was Interlagos, I think.
Sorry, the first race was Interlagos.
Home race for Senna, yeah.
And Senna spun out and Schumacher won. The second race was at Aida, and Senna got turfed off by either Hakkinen or Larini. I can't remember which it was. So we're now at San Marino, the first European race. And I sat down with Senna and said, well, Ayrton, I said, 2 races down, you haven't got any points, Schumacher's got 20. What's to do? What happened to Ayrton? He said.
Did he say that?
I said, how on earth do you know about that? You're in the car when I'm talking. Oh, he said, I keep in touch, Murray. And that was a typical example of how Senna had got his finger in every pie, right up to the hilt, and knew a hell of a lot of what was going on. Now, don't use the word tragedy, the BBC say. Senna's death at Ímola was a tragedy. As you pointed out, we had Rubens Barrichello having a nigh unto death crash on the Friday. We had Roland Ratzenberger being killed on Saturday, so when the race started at Ímola, at San Marino, and I just tried to remember who it was that went into the back of JJ Leto. Martini?
Pedro Lamy, maybe?
Pardon?
Was it Pedro Lamy?
Yes, it was Pedro Lamy, that's right.
At the start?
Yeah, yeah, at the start, as a result of which the safety car came out. Now, with all the wisdom of hindsight, they should have stopped the race, not bring the safety car out. And the safety car in those days was not a specially souped-up Mercedes-Benz driven by a highly talented driver, as it is now. It was whatever was around, like a Fiat Punto, driven by somebody who got some talent, but the Formula One cars were trundling round for several laps while they cleared up the debris, and as a result of which the tyre temperatures went down, as a result of which the ride height went down of the cars. They were closer to the ground. When the race started, again with Schumacher and Senna vying for the lead, Senna went off. And my first reaction, Tom, was, wow, that's a big one, which sounds pretty casual. But I said that because I had seen on other years at exactly the same corner, the Tamburello, Michele Alboreto go off and was all right. Nelson Piquet go off, hurt his foot, but he was all right. Gerhard Berger not only go off, but to be in the car with it on fire. And I was thinking, I'm talking about someone who's been done to a crisp before our very eyes. They got him out. So my first instinctive reaction, I think, was it hasn't been too bad in the past. It probably won't be too bad now. But then I rapidly realised when Professor Sid Watkins, the FIA's medical chap, who was absolutely brilliant, came out, the race was stopped, the body language was very ominous. And I didn't know what was happening because I was in the commentary box and there wasn't anybody to tell me. I had pictures from Rai, the Italian television company, coming into the box, but which were not the nicest and wouldn't have been shown by the BBC. But literally for the first time, the BBC had got its own camera unit there. So Mark Wilkin, the producer, was able to cut away to less worrying pictures. But I had to walk the tightrope between, don't worry folks, it'll be all right. I've seen 3 others go off at the same point and they were perfectly all right. And, oh dear, I fear this is terminal. You don't say that sort of thing. Somehow or other, you have to find the words to walk that tightrope between the two. And then he was taken away in the helicopter and the race was started. But the atmosphere of gloom and misery at what many people regard as the greatest driver of all time, almost certainly being about to die and subsequently doing so, was immeasurable.